Hello and welcome to Cause and Effect. This is session 9. My name is Crash. I'll be your DM for the evening for this homebrew Dungeons & Dragons campaign. And tonight I'm joined by a bunch of awesome people, including Ellie, Jen, and Milo.
Hello!
Me.
Now, we have not played in a month for this particular campaign, so I don't remember what the heck happened last time.
We were sent by this old lady who talked to my little dude about getting this necklace, and so we went to it, and I used my party sense to figure out the layout, and we went in and we used my shield to like stop the traps from hitting us, and I was like super cool. I was like super helpful. And then we went up the stairs and we found the safe, and it turns out it was like one of the other people in the party is like God or whatever, and so we're like, oops, and then they left us. They just ditched us and ran away right before the fighting started. And then we went back, and Mo, who's like super cool and I totally want to get a drink with, was like, yo. And like, that's what we did.
That's a pretty good explanation, honestly.
Milo is so good at giving recaps of a parallel dimension that is very parallel. It's so like close. It's the next lane. It's the HOV lane on the same highway. That's how parallel it is. And I think...
Oh, hold on. Somebody's at the door. I'll be back.
I think that letting it age for a month before we get the recap makes it even better. I'm not quite sure who was supposed to be God, though. That hit me out of left field.
No, it was, is it Mo someone's like patron or something? EO's patron?
EO's character, Cavill, has Mo as a reluctant patron.
That's what I was trying to remember. I forgot Cavill's name and I forgot the word patron, so I substituted.
I love that this is the conversation we're having at the beginning of the session.
I forgot the name. I'm sorry, you know that I don't do names.
Oh, please. I blame my inability to remember names properly on the fact that for several years I was the only art teacher for 3 or 4, it varied by year, different elementary schools. So I had over 2,000 students a year who I got to see each student 4 times.
But yeah, I just don't remember names.
Well, I said that's what I blamed it on. I didn't say that's why I don't remember names. I'm glad that in retail jobs they gave me a name tag because I could look down and say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that I don't, but I'm the only person who has like a candy apron. So I'm the candy person. See?
There you go.
I got the apron. What do you want?
And now the Willy Wonka song, The Candyman, is stuck in my head. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, and then they laugh and they're like, the candy person! And then they ask me about chocolate.
All right. So something else that happened, moving a few lanes over because technically there weren't enough people in the vehicle to qualify for the HOV lane this time. So we had to move over before we got caught.
Wasn't there something about Ellie's patron being around?
Well, Ellie's playing a fighter, so technically doesn't have a patron. However...
Remember, it was something important to Ellie, okay?
However, Tex and Mech were both created by a future alternate version of JR, which is short for Cogbucket JR.
So the way I like to shorten names, too.
Yes, you come up with other names, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I would name him like Coggy or something.
You name him like Cogbert, and then you just shorten it to Bert.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Bertie.
JR was made by Cogbucket Prime, who was just called Cogbucket.
Oh, I see why you call
works
himself
here.
Junior. Okay.
And you met him.
So they're
Well,
kind of
JR
just like
uses
Grandpa.
Something like that. More like when Tex and Mech were created, they kind of followed JR as if JR was next to a deity. Like demigod or something like that. So meeting Cogbucket is like meeting your god's dad.
Okay, God. Thank you for making Jesus.
I love everything about this.
The Beatles walk so LMFAO could party rock.
I love everything about this. But wow, my train of thought is struggling right now.
Oh, you're
I think
welcome.
that broke me.
I'm looking forward to that being a an out of context quote.
Be careful what you wish for.
See, look, this one is JR and LMFAO.
JR has not at any point leveled up their dance skill.
Just let me have this.
Also, it's worth noting that while JR's pronouns are they, them, Cogbucket's pronouns are he, him. So at the end of it, Tex said that they probably needed to have a conversation with Cogbucket, and Cogbucket said that he was always happy to make new friends. And then there was a conversation about how Chadwick really wanted to have like a bonding experience with Mo. And I believe I had just recently posted the out of context quote to Mastodon of
Yes.
Cavill follows Mo as a patron. Chadwick follows Mo on Instagram.
It's true. It's true.
And EO added the line, and it's not Instagram, it's Pentagram.
That's fitting, yeah.
And Ellie
It's
got upset at all of
absolutely
us because we were infringing on Ellie's territory of coming up with the really wonderful puns. I say wonderful. Not everyone agrees, but
Oh,
some
they're
people
good.
are allowed to be wrong.
They are good, though.
Oh, by the way, Crash, you'd appreciate that our weekly all staff meeting involves beginning and ending with a bad pun.
Can't be done. They're all glorious puns.
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly.
When the pandemic first hit, I was still giving warm-up questions to my students, but I did make them be slightly easier because we were all under a lot of stress. So sometimes the warm-up was just, give me a pun. There was some
Just so I know
really
you're
good
paying
ones.
attention.
Just so I know you're there at the computer. Give me a pun. And it's not a cardboard cutout of you. Which, shame on you, because it's so much easier to take a screenshot of yourself in front of the computer and have that be what you're sending over Zoom. You set that as your background and then you walk away. I have taught you how to do this. Use the skills I have taught you in this class.
No, that would require effort. Less effort than making your cardboard cutout of yourself, but not everyone is on top of their game.
I'm going to get off my soapbox for now because it doesn't involve D&D.
Back to D&D.
Back to D&D.
Anyways, so the Beatles walked so LMFAO could run. Could party rock. Continue.
Cogbucket has you all join him in the in his shop, which is referred to as Cogbucket's Infirmary and Barber Shop. Apparently, some of the tools are interchangeable. Clarification is not given
right.
about which tools are interchangeable, but apparently some of them are.
That's historically accurate.
Very historically accurate. Also, Cogbucket is a cleric.
Right.
That's thematically accurate.
Yes. And everyone is friend-shaped to Cogbucket. It's part of his programming.
Oh my gosh, he follows the Milo's character Roll of Thought.
Except no alcohol.
Yeah, and Paige hated Mo, but besides that, it's a pretty blanket.
Paige only hated Mo because Paige was paying attention. Moving forward,
Yes.
Moving
Yes.
forward, there's no customers in the barbershop or infirmary sections right now. Well, no living customers. There is one table over to the side that does
Cadaver.
have a sheet over it. Rather than blood stains, the sheet has oil stains, but, you know, still. It looks
a
like there's
repair.
a body underneath. So what can I do for you?
We're awestruck, apparently.
I mean, this is Ellie's thing.
It is.
The problem is, I remember that I wanted to speak to Cogbucket, but I don't remember why I wanted to speak to Cogbucket. Like, I had a
Probably
specific
not the
reason.
fact that he's your grandpa.
I don't remember the exact line because it's been a month, but Cogbucket interjected with the line at the end of the last session, like, "What are you saying about my child?"
Oh, I think you said something like really like like in awe or like, like I can't think of the correct word, like referring to JR and like how amazing they are and how much you love them or something like that.
Why are you saying my child becomes a god?
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Ah, okay.
And then Ellie's like, ha, 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 we're gonna have to explain this.
Right. That makes sense. So, we're from a future so far that we're no longer sure how far in the future it is. And in which JR has gone on a bit of a taking over the world binge.
I believe the saying is, kids these days, am I right?
I have not heard this phrase, but all right.
I have.
I've been told that I should not try to be hip with the lingo, because in attempting to do so, I use the word hip and the word lingo.
Yeah, dude, that totally harshes my steez.
If I had eyelids, I would probably blink at you right now, but understood.
I'm used to that.
Saying I understand is a lie. I don't understand at all, but the attempt is there.
The sheer amount of kids that are just like, oh, I don't need my mom or dad anymore, and then they're like, haha, let me take over a whole continent, and then it's just like, phew. Apparently your munchkin went the extra mile to the whole world.
Munchkin. That is an interesting term, considering.
You know, a little one. Progeny.
That seems more appropriate.
Oh yeah, I forgot we're talking about robots.
JR was never actually little. They were constructed at full size.
It's just one of those sayings that like a lot of I guess us flesh beings, some of us use to describe our kids. That's just what Munchkin means. It's like just the future version of you.
Yes,
it's just slang.
I am aware that when humans are born, they have several years of firmware updates required.
Yeah, so it's just like a slang for your kid.
Is there any way to prevent my child from attempting to take over the world?
We think we have done that by preventing the disaster that set him on his rampage and by, I believe, destroying the device that they were going to use to do it.
Well, I am glad that's all sorted. I now understand why other founding members of FLAG were having some meetings without me. Or at least, this makes sense.
Yeah.
After all, I am very prone towards making friends of all new initiates into FLAG, and if you are from a future that depends on my child going rogue, so to speak, preventing that has a strong likelihood of making you all cease to exist upon your success.
Perhaps that's our mission.
To cease to exist? That sounds
We don't
impressive.
know. I don't know. My kind, as you can see, well, you wouldn't know, actually. We are bounty hunters sent out to kill. This is our only prerogative. I'm having difficulty not doing it here, but there are no orders to do it. Perhaps my kind is not necessary outside of that universe.
You say you're trying not to do it, but you joined FLAG. You do know what FLAG is.
Remind me.
You are a ragtag band of adventurers. Most of your missions are to go out and find something and kill it and or bring it back. Doing both at the same time is the messier of the experiences, but still.
Right. It still is minimal compared to what my kind were doing in the universe that we probably cannot get back to.
I suspect it is less the assignments and more the downtime.
That is the thing.
The downtime was built into FLAG from its conception. Myself and Mo, in particular, were very interested in including cooldown periods to prevent people from getting overworked.
This is understandable, but forgive me. I rarely interacted with your group, but my understanding was that there was no downtime.
Exactly. We were assigned a target. We acquired the target. Generally by killing it. Them, he, him, whatever. And returned with evidence and sent out again.
Unfortunate.
For most of us, this seemed normal. We had no other experience. And now that I'm here, I do not know what to do with myself entirely.
They were like very angry yo-yos.
I assume that's a metaphor.
Probably. Although,
If it was
description
meant-
sort of works.
If it was meant literally, I have many concerns. Chadrick,
Yes.
while this conversation is happening, what is Chadrick doing in this barbershop/infirmary?
Let's see. First of all, I think that Chadrick would try to make sure to spruce up their rad hairstyle, because they have a good hairstyle. So I think he might be just trimming his edges and doing some shape work. And then he's probably just sitting there and thinking about man, but what if we all did disappear?
And
What
that's
would
when
my
Chadrick
dad
pulls out a
say?
photo of his family and sees that one of them is half faded.
My dad.
So I
And then
only
he
know,
also has this. Yes.
sorry, I only know one My Chemical Romance song, and at the beginning of it, when he's saying, "When I was a young boy, my father," and every time I hear that song, I just think, "My dad," instead,
My dad.
because of Chadwick. Anyway,
Good.
that was a side conversation that spread from a side conversation back to what you are doing as you are pondering ennui and existential dread about ceasing to exist because of something you did in the past.
He's getting to the point of being okay with it because, he went back to the past and he changed stuff. What if it does change the future? What if all that matters that he party rocked until his very last?
Hey, so I didn't know human faces could go through that many emotions all at once. I'm assuming those were emotions and you weren't just doing face exercises?
Yeah, dude. I was just doing some, deep thinking, little dude.
Ah, when I'm doing deep thinking, someone just hands me fiber.
That's good for you. Keeps you regular.
That's what he keeps saying. I don't understand it though.
That would require a lot of science, so let's instead focus on the cool part. How can we party rock tonight?
Well, considering we're in a room with a corpse, probably not very well.
We'll get to that. We got a plan for after the corpse.
I dread most of that sentence, actually.
Fair.
Biologics are strange beings.
Yes, but they do tend to grow on you. I have cleaning solvents for that if necessary.
Ah, good to know.
I'm glad you went for that joke because I was going to if you didn't.
And the thing is, for Cogbucket, that wasn't a joke.
He was serious.
Dead serious.
Right.
And if you used it as a joke, you wouldn't get it.
Cogbucket, do you know anything about restoring stolen memory?
Yeah, and if you figure that out, could you let me know?
Unfortunately, I am unable to restore memories lost through inebriation.
I didn't catch the last word. Repeat that.
Inebriation.
Ah, okay. That is not the case here.
Responding to the second person before responding
Yes.
to the first person.
Yes.
What if it's not inebriation?
I have had limited skill in that. Sometimes I do have to write a referral.
Keep me updated and answer their question.
Are these Warforged memories?
Yes, mine. Someone
is.
took them. I don't know exactly when. It was before I got here.
It would depend on exactly how they were removed. If
I
you
do not
could-
know.
If you could have a seat over here, I could examine you.
All right, I will do that.
Okay. So you take a seat in what looks like a barber's chair, but Cogbucket pulls a lever and it reclines entirely.
Oh, all right.
Now, if you were a biologic, I would say this would pinch a bit, but chances are you won't feel a thing. And
Doubt. Yeah,
he
I
takes
won't
off the
feel
top
anything.
of your head while he's saying this.
That's fine.
Fascinating. So I see that this is routed through here, and these lights make no sense. They just blink back and forth constantly. They're not even connected to anything else. What? I guess
I
this
can
is
blink
worse.
my eyes. It might be that, and I do the brighter shade of blue really quick twice.
No, it's just some little lights over here under the panel. It's not even for the aesthetic because they only appear once you remove the top portion, which is... I don't understand this at all.
I don't either.
No matter. That's not a memory component. So, here's the memory. Well, here is your problem. Somebody has removed your memory.
Yes, and?
No, I mean somebody has removed the memory. They didn't overwrite it. They didn't delete it. They removed the component that stored that memory.
Oh.
There's just an empty socket in here.
Mood.
I wonder why.
It would be the most efficient way of removing it. If it was overwritten or if it was deleted, there would still be some recovery methods that I could use.
I understand.
But in this case, there's nothing. And he puts the top of your head back on.
All right, well...
And here are the
guess
spare
that
parts.
Oh, thank you.
That was a joke. There are no spare parts.
Okay, I was wondering. You had not handed me anything, so I was not sure. But
Question.
I don't understand why someone would directly pull just that.
I have a question that actually isn't entirely stupid.
I am interested in hearing that.
So the thing is that means somebody had to go into your brain and take that out. It wasn't just like they did like a Jedi mind wipe or something. They had to actually like go in and remove like the chip. So that might have been maybe like while you were recharging. Do you have memories of while you were recharging? Are you able to pull those up?
I think it is something like this. It is my understanding that biologicals have dreams. It is not quite like that, but I can access the rest of my memory, just not whatever has been taken.
Yeah, no, because I'm not talking about what's taken. I'm wondering if you can remember who approached you while you were in your rest state and took it out, like if your cameras were still working.
I would not know.
So the key thing is that you're going to have to remember when you stop remembering.
Right.
Which...
It was a smart question. I tried.
Right.
Well, I made it worse by how I retold it, but it's funnier that way. But technically, the less funny way of describing this is, could you go through your logs to note the timestamp for when those memories stopped being accessible, and then check your visual records to see who was approaching you?
That I could do.
See, it wasn't dumb.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was helpful.
Yeah, also, and totally, I understand, I don't dream.
Interesting.
I'm a Kalish star. I can't dream.
That is unfortunate.
Well, it also means that nobody can get in my head. Not even me.
I know not what to think of that.
I am going to need to install eyelids at some point.
I have occasional dreams, but
not even I know what's going on in here.
I am still not sure how the sheep are assembled.
I appreciate that this android dreams of electric sheep. I do appreciate that.
That is good.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for a history roll at advantage.
From
Jen's character.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't look in your brain too good.
Right.
I mean, I could.
You just saw it. I mean, the top of Mex's head was taken right off.
Yes.
I mean, I could telepathically go in your head and help you, but I think that may not help you.
Maybe not. What was I supposed to roll? Which one?
History at advantage.
History at advantage. So I roll it twice, right?
If you right-click, you should be able to have it do advantage by default.
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
Yep. Okay, got it. It's doing something.
I see.
Total of 11.
11. Okay. And a 7. Wait, you did it twice.
Total 11.
I rolled at disadvantage because they aren't my memories.
Okay, fair.
with a 7, Tex is able to remember that they're not Tex's memories.
Can I roll a perception check and still go inside the brain and see if I can find it?
I mean, you can make a roll. You can certainly try. The difficulty level is higher than a nat 20, but
Nope.
With a 12, you remember there were a bunch of lights that blinked back and forth.
Robot
And
brains
for some
are weird.
reason, the music in your head at that moment was the theme from Knight Rider.
Yeah. He's fine with that.
Yeah.
He then puts that song into little dude's head.
Milo, are you even old enough to remember Knight Rider?
I've seen it.
Okay.
My parents had culture nights ready to watch all their favorite movies.
Okay, so you were classically trained.
Yes.
That's good. I learned this year that I'm just now teaching the second generation of kids.
Oh, goodness.
So one of my kindergartners this year is the child of a student who was my student at the school I'm at currently.
Oof.
Yes. And they say the gray hairs in his beard grew 3 sizes that day. Yes. But moving on to Mech's role.
Yes.
And I appreciate that when you say Mech, M-E-K, but with an apostrophe S, it sounds like I'm saying M-E-X, and the other Warforged is named Tex.
Right.
So it's Tex-Mex.
Oh, my.
And you got to reach for that pun, but it's still within arm's length.
Yeah, it's an acronym, actually.
Oh, I'm very much aware of that.
Yeah, yeah.
With an 11, well, the good news is, yes, you are able to find that timestamp of this is the point where I wasn't able to access memories anymore.
Oh,
and
good.
you were able to see that a being did come by and do some maintenance. But they looked like a standard Warforged being sent on things. They weren't custom like you and Tex were made for specific tasks. They were the more generic version. So they could have been doing it under orders from higher up. They could have been reprogrammed by somebody else because it was possible to do it. The standard models were not as advanced as custom models like you and Tex. So you know a little, you know a bit more than you knew before, but still not a lot to go on. It's like saying, oh yeah, so you want a history of this particular town. Okay, it's in a book.
Okay, so if I...
usually at this.
Right. Okay, so I assume that I would be like standing perfectly still trying to go through the memories into where I got to that point you just described. And
Know that I'm balancing things on your head.
I don't care.
Give me a dexterity check.
Me or Jen?
Which one?
Chadrick.
Okay, see if I did it right.
I am assuming that Mech is going through these memories. Mech is staying still.
17.
Absolutely still,
okay.
yes.
So with a 17, you have balanced half of the items in front of the barber chair on top of Mech's head precariously. Some would argue you should start with the largest containers first, but you did not. You started with the smaller one first and built your way wider. And
Talent.
at this point, you have one hand steadying the tower as you are reaching towards it with the other hand that has that glass jar with the blue water in it and the comb.
Yes. Disinfectant.
But you haven't placed it on Mech's head yet before you hear a sound from Cogbucket, which you know that Cogbucket doesn't have a throat to clear.
They saved that sound.
It is a simulated sound effect specifically for moments like this.
Beautiful. Also, I want everyone to know that my skill at this comes from my immense skill at flip cup. or you know, Chad Pong.
Okay, so I come to, I realize there's a stack of objects on my head that I don't care about at this moment. I'm still staying very still. I'm going to blink my eyes twice because
Give me a
it's
dexterity
a glitch.
check.
A dexterity check, okay.
Yes, because you have decided to move.
Oh, I just blinked eyes. I mean...
Yeah, I didn't say how precariously stacked these items were.
This is true. This is
Apparently,
true.
I'm
Okay,
close to
so
stacking
dexterity check. There we go. I've got a 22 total. It was a 20 plus 2.
Wonderful. Everything is remaining perfectly stacked in your head like the most precarious of Jenga.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't care. So, so I have found the point where the memory is gone. There was a less customized Warforged who came up, and I could see them on the camera. They would look like any other of their kind. and then everything is gone for a moment in time, and that's the part that's missing. I suspect they were sent to do this for reasons I cannot imagine, because it was not typically what their kind was made to do.
Well, it wasn't their primary purpose, but in the recharging stations that existed, seeing a unit like that come over and do any kind of maintenance on another unit that was being charged, it wouldn't trigger any security protocols.
Okay, so I relay that as well. They do not typically steal memory, I think.
That's what they want you to think.
I mean, can you remember any time they stole memory other than this one?
No.
They stole the memory of you remembering they stole their memory. Wait,
See, that's how they get you.
who's they?
The man.
I thought you were the man.
Okay, so there's different types of the man. There's like the man as in like the cool dude, that's me, and there's the man as in like the government that takes from the small man.
What about the small kobold?
You know what? The thing is, you are the man as well, but you're like the cool man, not like the oppressor man.
You told me I was the straight man.
That's the flavor of the man that you are.
This is confusing.
I didn't know straight was a flavor.
It's like a subsection of the man.
Cogbucket leans over to A and says, "If you manage to understand any of these terms, please come and see me. I'm keeping a running log." Most of the entries just are the terms with blank spaces behind them. But someday I hope to understand one of them. I'm right with you. Like literally, because we're right next to each other right now.
He's trying very hard to actually explain it. I think that's the best part. Chadrick is legitimately trying.
Unfortunately for Chadrick, A's brain and Cogbucket's brain are very different from Chadrick's brain. If they tried to explain the things that they understand and live with every day and just take for granted, Chadrick would probably start to ask for another hangover remedy. Different worlds. Anyway, I have a question, Mr. Cogbucket, sir. Be my guest. No, I don't really want to stay here. Why do you have a corpse in the corner? Well, I haven't finished the autopsy yet.
That's fair.
That's a shame. Yes, I determined that most of the torso was removed, but I have not figured out the cause of death yet.
What kind of corpse is it?
A warforged.
I mean, a torso-less one, but...
Well, no, it has a torso, just most of the center portion is missing.
You say tomato, I say tomato. Anyways,
Cogbucket goes over and removes the sheet.
What do we see?
It is in fact a warforged. It is not a design you've seen before. It is in fact missing a good chunk of its torso. Not enough to compromise structural integrity, but if A really wanted to build a nest, A probably could.
Oh.
The problem is the removal was clean enough that there doesn't appear to be any kind of struggle, which means it was most likely disabled before the torso was removed, but I cannot seem to find how that was done.
That is quite strange.
Was the chunk removed? Was there slicing involved in removing the chunk?
That is a good observation.
No, it was disassembled. Whoever did it had the tools to do so.
Where did you find the body?
I did not. It was brought to me.
Where did whoever found the body find the body?
where did the body come from?
The factory district.
I didn't catch that.
The factory district.
Factory district.
Yes, there's a growing industry here on Flotsam. Many of the Warforged who came down from the moon found jobs there.
This is one of the quests on the board.
Indeed, this is not the first victim.
I see.
Feel like I know which one we're going to accept next.
Right. Now, whoever put these things on my head, could you remove them, please?
Fine.
Give me a
You asked
dexterity check.
nicely.
Who is
At
doing
disadvantage.
which of us? Or both of us?
Chadrick.
Okay.
You said disadvantage?
It's one thing to stack it, but now you have to resist the urge to knock over the Jenga tower to take it down.
10.
You successfully pick up the heaviest and coincidentally most fragile of items which you had just recently placed on top of the tower, and the rest of it scatters around like so many tiny rectangular prism-shaped pieces of wood.
At least I got the most fragile thing.
Well, the most
least they're
fragile
off my head.
thing you were ahemed before you put it on. But you got the others then too.
Okay. Let's see.
So, just Warforged? Like they're not doing it to anyone else? If they are, they aren't leaving remains.
How many victims have there been?
So far, 9.
Have they all been disassembled in the same way?
No, not all the Warforged who came down from the moon followed the same design plan. Some of them were built with very unique properties for certain jobs, whether or not they do those jobs here. So the parts that are removed sometimes are specialty components, other times the specialty components are left and the other parts are removed. But always enough for it to be left unfunctional and therefore unable to tell us what happened.
I also want to say Chadrick's looking a little awkward right now, and then looks at everyone else and goes, "So, are you done with this Warforged? Because I can do a funeral thing if you want me to."
As can I.
Because I got this spell ceremony.
Oh, wonderful! I was not aware
And I
you
can
were a
cast
paladin.
I'm a paladin. I can do a funeral rite thing.
Tex is going to go over to Cogbucket and say, at as low a volume as possible while still being heard by Cogbucket, let him cast the spell, please. It's the first time he's actually used one.
Excuse me, I've used Thunderous Smite before.
Oh, that's true.
This is the first time I've used a paladin spell.
No, Thunderous Smite is a paladin spell.
Oh, I just assumed.
Matter of fact, Thunderous Smite is more paladin spell than ceremony is.
Let's just say that none of my spells are helpful.
There is something glorious about playing a suboptimal character. I have an NPC in the All Kobold campaign that I run on the alternate Saturdays, where when I was picking her spells, I deliberately picked spells for someone who just runs a small shop in town and never sees
I chose
combat.
these spells, and I'm still just remembering your shock when you realized I didn't have a healing spell.
I don't think it was shock so much as it was, look at this wonderful gift you've given me.
Yeah, because come on, Chadrick, are you going to heal them? I'm like, I already used my Lay of Hands. That's all I have.
And in the previous campaign, you had a dad who was a cleric whose idea of healing was, I'm going to cast Inflict Wounds multiple times.
And then I'm going to make a forge in the middle of the town where we're not allowed to build forges.
And that's when you said, look at me, I am the dad now.
Yeah, I would have to be the dad now. But yeah, my spells are Bless, which could be useful. Ceremony, Compelled Duel, so I can do bar fights. Heroism, Sanctuary, Sleep, so they can sleep off a hangover, and Thunderous Smite.
See, now I'm waiting for you to use Compelled Duel to do the Arthur Dent thing from, I think it's Life, the Universe, and Everything.
Might be.
Where he gets into an argument and someone says, do you want to take this outside? And the other guy says yes, and immediately falls to his desk because he'd forgotten they were in a flying house.
I hate when that happens.
As long as it happens to the other guy.
True. But when they're done, I'm going to cast Ceremony and do a funeral rite for someone so I can be a paladin.
Give me a religion check.
I'm not good at this. 14.
With a 14, you have this weird feeling. You don't encounter this feeling much, but you get the sense that you are honestly helpful on a spiritual level.
Oh my god.
As opposed to just being helpful by getting people rip-roaring drunk.
Oh my god, I'm actually doing a social good.
Yeah. It's up to you how your character wraps their head around it.
Is that Chadrick has slowly been trying to get better ever since making his life goal being to get a job.
Dearly beloved, Party Rock was in the house tonight.
Dear Warforged Afterlife, accept this Warforged into your hallowed halls. May he party rock until the sun come up over the Warforged heaven. And all in the house tonight said amen.
And as the creator said, reduce, reuse, recycle.
Recycle. We thank your body for giving your parts to your fellow still working Warforged.
Dibs on the arm.
No, I'm not a hero. I don't need a tusty too.
I will not laugh. I am one with the force. I am one with the force is with me.
I already have inspiration. You can laugh.
I don't. I'll take it.
Okay, it was... Ellie, you have earned that because it was that sentence that made me laugh.
Cheersies.
You can't share it that way. You already have inspiration. It can't be shared with you.
I was paraphrasing Ellie's sentence.
Ellie was like, you gonna use that?
Yeah. Can I? Your buffet plate's already full. Can I have?
It's like plugging some USB-C devices in. They just spread the charge out if they both can charge devices over USB-C.
Electro Boom had a cool video about that this week. I think it was this week. Hard to explain, but it was fun to watch. Electro Boom is always fun to watch, but that's where the longest length of wire in existence in my room came from. Wrong button.
Why do we button?
Kobolds. We have that button for kobolds. This has already been established. It's their button. Didn't you see that out of context quote?
Yes.
Anyway, that's where we're going to end it for tonight. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for playing. I have been Crash. Tonight I was joined by Ellie, Jen, and Milo. Who's got something they want to plug?
Speaking of books.
Speaking of books, my website is Book of Jen at bookofjen.net. It's got a lot of Diablo stuff on there, some book reviews, and whatever else I feel like putting on there sporadically when I have time. I'm also the host of the Shattered Soulstone podcast, which is primarily about the Diablo series of games, but also all the shenanigans happening at Activision Blizzard King. And you can find that one at shatteredsoulstone.com, and new episodes appear every Saturday.
I believe you had one just come out today. Yeah. Well, you said every Saturday, so yes.
Yes.
And speaking of social media,
I run Alec.xyz, that's ELEKK.xyz. It is an unfederated social media where a bunch of people just talk about video games without having to worry about being made fun of too much.
It's a federated social media and an unfederated social media because the other instances that are, the ones that are problematic, let's put it that way, you don't encounter on Alec. It is well moderated.
Yes.
I do my best.
You do a great job.
Cool.
And I don't help.
and speaking of Patreons,
the segues are funnier now that they have no relevance to what came before.
The fact that we're not even pretending.
We do have a Patreon, patreon.com/cogwheelgaming. Help us keep the lights on other illustrious patrons, including Chris, Ellie, Eric, Mickey, Shen, Walter, and patron emeritus, Cindy. And until next time, this is Crash saying,
don't say it. It will destroy the world.
Chadrick actually did something, y'all.
Yeah, it's a weird pronoun.
Well, the Knights of Ni couldn't be wrong.
Anyways, we'll see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for all the fish.
Say good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.